Hello, gorgeous soul. So last week, Dave joined me here on Calm AF for the first of 2 episodes, all about how we built a marriage that is now 20 years in the making. And it's been so fun. The responses I've been getting from both my Calm AF lifers and even people who are brand new to the Calm AF podcast have been so positive. And the reason why is I think that what Dave and I have learned in our own marriage applies in one way or another to so many couples, whether they happen to be neurodiverse, neurotypical, whatever. So let's continue on with that conversation, shall we? This week, it's part 2 of Happy Now, how Dave and I have built a marriage we love. This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF.
Another way that you have embraced living your life like an autistic person, and our lives are better for it, is that you are fiercely protective of your routines. That's what you preach on this podcast, and all of your work is routine. Well, guess who had a rock-solid morning routine and rock-solid midday, late morning, early afternoon? Everything is a routine, and if it doesn't fit in that routine, it doesn't get done, which is actually quite a huge problem. So once again, I think the answer is in the middle there somewhere, but talk to us about the importance of being fiercely protective of the routine.
Well, what's true is in order to live a life that feels more free, which is the way I want to live, like basically if I could just hang out in pajamas and hang out with my friends and you guys, and I would. In order to create that, there has to be structure. And this is something that I have learned. It's also, I am technically also considered neurodiverse because I have got a raging case of ADHD.
Yeah. I think
the charts.
You're a bit more wackadoo than I am, I think, in the relationship.
Wackadoo?
Yeah.
More autistic? No, I mean more ADHD.
Your ADHD brain. We are a neurodiverse couple, and we are both neurodivergent in our own ways, and which is all BS, by the way, because that's suggesting that there's a particular type of brain that's supposed to exist and everything else is wrong.
Right, exactly. Like, here's the neurotypical, but I don't think, the more people I talk to, which is a lot, the more I'm like, there is no neurotypical. No. I'm not saying that there are people, everyone's a little autistic. I am not saying that. I am saying that everyone's brains are wired differently. And if we can learn how to work with them. So back to the structure, back to the routines, is in order for me to be able to have time for myself and put my needs first, there has to be structure. Otherwise, it won't happen. If I don't have a time, like I get up early because I love getting up early. People are always like, well, I guess I'll just, if I have to want to do all these things, I have to get up at 5 like Kristen. Like, no. I am everyone has to get up early in the morning. Yeah. That is ridiculous. That's what time I get up because I am a very early morning person. But I lost my train of thought again.
You would be in pajamas.
ADHD.
You wake up. You would be in your pajamas. You wake up early.
If I didn't have the structure, I wouldn't be able to have the freedom to do all of that. So I have learned that. And yes, by learning, hey, structures, he gets everything done he wants to get done in a day using these routines. Oh, if there's something that's really important to me, then I'm going to have to put a routine around this, make it a habit, and then be really fiercely protective of it.
Right. And that's a very autistic thing.
Yeah.
It's just you have to choose to be protective, whereas somebody like me is more inclined just to naturally be fiercely protective.
Exactly. Like to me, it's me working. I have to think about it. I have to unlearn all the things. Like I had to get really good with feeling guilt, right? Of like telling my kids, I'm doing this right now. You'll have to wait, or telling someone else no. Like I had to work through all of my things. It was effort for me to put the structure around, but absolutely, it's something that I learned is, really effective.
Absolutely. Yep. And then on the other side of that, though, as much as I'm joking here, the reality is if I were only unforgivingly, like ruthless about my routines, we would have been divorced a long time ago, because I had to learn that, like, yes, routine, but as you would say, and I've learned this by editing your podcast for the last couple of years, which is probably the best free therapy course I've ever had. I won't listen to you in the moment when you're trying to help me through something. Because what do you know? But when I'm listening up here in the studio, I'm like, she makes a lot of sense. But, as you would say, I can be fiercely protective-ish, routine-ish, meaning routine, and that's all well and good, but the reality is real life doesn't give a fuck about your routine. So sometimes there are commitments that you need to follow through on that encroach on your routine, and you need to be able to bend. So that's what I've learned how to do is like, you know what? Fine. I'll shove away my anger, and then I'll do my routines all at once tonight if everybody just leaves me alone for 8 hours.
Yeah. So both of these, here's what's happening. On that Calm AF scale, we've got hypervigilant, we've got hypovigilant, or we could use anything, right? We can use very focused and not focused. We can use rigid and...
Bridget. Flexible.
Well, flexible, I feel like, is more in the middle.
Rigid and loosey-goosey. No structure, Flaky.
No boundaries. Flaky. So let's say those are the two sides of the scale. Basically, both the same with like putting yourself first, being fiercely protective of routines. Both of us are moving towards the center. I'm moving up from, we don't need routine for anything. Let me just live my life. And you're moving down from, everything has to be exactly how I need it, exactly when I need it that way. So again, it's just coming to that middle. And here's the thing with both sides, right? With a person with an autistic brain and a person with a not autistic brain, there are skills that you can learn, right? You are not less rigid because you are now less rigid. You have learned the skill of being flexible. You've learned the skill of dealing with disappointment. You have learned the skill of adapting and adjusting, as have I.
Right. And that's what leads me to the third exhibit in my laying out a case for when you started living your life like an autistic person, my life got better.
Yes.
I mean, your life. You started to be very mindful of nervous system and emotional regulation. And this is a very autistic thing because the autistic engine, the brain is like always revving at redline, like 6,000 or 7,000 RPMs, right? And so what I've had to learn how to do is regulate myself so I don't have explosive outbursts of frustration or anger or something I'm dissatisfied with in the workplace, at the airport where suddenly I'm going to be a viral video and on every no-fly list, and I can't get a job because you're that guy. And so I've had to learn how to sort of regulate, and I'm still learning. I don't know what I'm doing, but the autistic brain, fidgets became very, very popular a couple of years ago because people were like, turns out I like to fiddle with things with my fingers. Like, yeah, no, that's a human thing. It's just some toy manufacturer capitalized on it. But it really, some of those things were really helping the autistic individual to self-soothe so they could stay emotionally regulated. And when you're emotionally regulated and your nervous system is not redlining, then you can participate effectively. You can be present in what's going on in the world around you. You can contribute. When you're in a state of dysregulation, anybody who has somebody with autism in their life knows that, severe dysregulation would require a lot of additional support, maybe from people around you. I don't need someone to regulate me. I'm fortunate in that way. I can self-regulate, but to get there, I needed somebody who was willing to be patient during the first 35 years of my life where I wasn't regulating so well.
So everything that I have learned, everything that I teach comes directly from my time as a speech pathologist working with kids with autism, because there was nothing happening. I knew this, that I was not going to meet any goals. I was not going to get this child's trust or they weren't going to do anything for me if we weren't starting with a nervous system that was regulated and a sensory system that was regulated. So they felt safe enough to, be present. So I learned that. And that has been a thing that I noticed in other people. But for me, I'm like, well, I'm always calm. Like I am. I'm like, I flow very steadily. I'm pretty easygoing, just naturally. And so I'm always like, well, I'm obviously the calm one everywhere I go. I'm the calm one in this relationship. But what I learned, and on the outside sure looks calm, but on the inside, it wasn't. That's why I was energy managing. That's why I was people pleasing. That's why I was overthinking. That's why I was doing all of those things, was because I wasn't regulated. I just knew how to make it look like I was. And the way that manifested, the way that appeared was by, telling you need to calm down, by by trying to get everything in my environment perfect. So there was no dysregulation from other people, because if the only way I could feel regulated is if everyone else was regulated. Mm-hmm. And so what I discovered in this whole process was like, oh shit, like this applies to me too. Even though it sure looks like I'm the calm one, inside I am planning for weeks and months ahead of time about this party that's coming up, because I'm afraid that you're not going to have a good time and you're going to be frustrated. We're going to get in a fight in the car, and then you're not going to be able to hide it from my family. Like, I'm thinking about these things for weeks ahead of time. And that isn't calm, right? That is not regulated. That is me trying to puppet master everyone around me. And so what I really did discover was, what it looks like on the outside and what it looks like on the inside, they have to be the same, right? Like, it can't just be like, oh no, look at how fun everything is. I have to feel calm on the inside too. So yes, now this is what I focus on mostly with my clients, because the reason why we are energy managers, people pleasers, perfectionists is because we're trying to control people so they'll be regulated so that we can be regulated.
Well, I think that's exactly right, because the other thing too is you can play that chess game all you want, but there's still going to be a way that I come unglued. You can do all the planning, and I will collapse that house of cards faster than you can blink.
There is no guarantee. And so it makes way more sense for me to be a master of my own energy and regulate my own energy than it is for me to be dancing around trying to manage everybody else's.
Correct. I'm telling you, man, autism. It's the way to live. Again. All right. So the fourth way that living like an autistic person has made you such a better not autistic person. No, I'm just kidding. The fourth thing that I'm a master of is, and I want everybody to have mastered this skill like me, not seeking approval. This is a very autistic thing. Wait a minute, looks like you're about to call bullshit on me. I don't do this. I never seak approval. If people know me, they know that I go into the world fully confident.
Yes.
Big, full, straight up posture, and just very resilient.
Yeah. Which is why we had the basement situation. Because you weren't trying to seek their approval.
I want the laborers to like me. I really want them to like me, so I'll be okay being treated like garbage the whole time they're here. I really want them to.
So here's what I will say. Yeah. Yes, there is some approval addiction running through your blood. But here's what I will say. Because I think like when you think about the autistic brain, when you think about like kind of egocentric and that sort of way of thinking, it seems like you wouldn't be an approval addict. It seems like you wouldn't give a shit what anyone else thought. And I think in some situations that can be true for you. But I also think for people who, have spent their life feeling like they don't fit in, or feeling like they maybe they don't have the approval of the people that they want, or they don't get it in the way that they want it, especially when it's, kind of those, I guess it's level 1 autism is what they call it now. But a child with Asperger's who grows up being very aware, very cognizant of the fact that they are not like the other kids, but they are also aware enough to know that they want to be, and they know that it's important to be socially accepted, I think that approval addiction is going to be a thing.
Well, here's the thing, like autistic or not, humans are pack animals, right? And so, yes, of course we want approval. And some of us have a chip on our shoulder where it's like, well, I don't want to fit in. I'm very much like counterculture, but, and that's cool too. But, underlying all that chip on the shoulder is somebody who didn't get and the thing with autistic kids is that you start at a very early age not getting approval from people. You're getting proactively disapproved by many people, including all your teachers and stuff. So it starts in the classroom with like quiet mouths, quiet hands, everybody, or eyes on the board, please. It's like, oh, geez, now the teacher's mad at me just because I wanted to look at a robin and that helped me hear what she was saying better.
Exactly. You have to do it. Do you want me to look or do you want me to listen? That was what I always used to teach my teachers.
Yeah, exactly. And so you hear that repeated over and over and you start to feel like, oh, geez, I'm kind of an outlier in the old society there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think the thing with the autistic brain is it's so innocent and pure in the sense that if somebody isn't like Dr. Temple Grandin is somebody who obviously was the pioneer in sharing a personal narrative around autism that was articulated in a way that everybody in the world could understand, right? And so she's somebody who really doesn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Like what you think.
Yeah, totally.
She's going to wear, I love her.
Yes.
She will wear her clothes that she wants to wear with the scarf that she wants to wear and the cowboy hat that she wants to wear. And it doesn't matter if this is like clearly not an event for cowboy hats and so like, or she'll just say something. And if somebody takes exception, she shrugs her shoulders and says, cool, then you have an opinion on this too. I love it.
Again, this is an area where I would say that it is something that I have taken, right? Like, it's okay if someone disagrees. That doesn't mean that I'm going to die a slow, tortured death, because that's how it used to feel.
Yeah, and that's something I've had to learn is how to not take things personally. And you gave me the book, The 4 Agreements, Toltec wisdom. Yes. Philosophy there. So I learned about not taking things personally through the lens of these what are they, Aztec or Mayan? Toltec, I don't know, the Central American. I didn't really read the front cover. I just read the stuff in the middle.
Sorry.
So there you go. There you have it. 4 ways that you have improved your life by living more like me, the pain in the ass husband. How about that?
How about that?
I got what I want in the end because I was right all along. And that's what all of this comes down to.
So that's the message. That's the takeaway. For sure. That's how we got here is I just learned how to be more like Dave.
It was a slog. It was an uphill battle. You did not come easily, but I got you to that well, goddammit. And
here is the answer. Here's the answer. Start a podcast and have your husband edit it. And then, because like you said, not in the moment, you're not going to hear it in the moment.
Of course not.
But every week you hear my message like 3 times through.
Right.
It's like a parasite.
Yeah, you are.
They call me a parasite.
You're like a brain fungus that just spreads, takes root. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Kristen, on your podcast. Is there anything you'd like to promote?
Well, I want to say again, thank you for being here.
Of course.
This is always fun to have someone else, especially you.
Yeah.
In the studio because you're fun to talk to.
Let me tell you something. You put an autistic person in any situation, it improves.
That's right. It's true. I think that's true in lots of ways. Okay. So Happy Now, our new podcast together, is going to be launched very soon.
Yeah, I think in a couple of weeks we'll put that first episode out. It's going to be awesome going through each chapter by chapter, and just unpacking and saying, because there's 2 sides to all these chapters, by the way.
2 sides to all the chapters, and I just started rereading it. So because to get ready for our reread, and I was like, So like 24 hours after the book was released, we were already getting people asking like, well, Kristen, when are you going to write the book about your side? So it only took us 11 years, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not writing the book. I mean, we're going to have the conversation, so you'll be able to hear it. So that, and then Opposite AF is our workshop that we did last summer. You can get that right away if you want to hear more convos. Online workshop for people in, I would say, neurodiverse relationships, but the truth is it's probably for anybody in any relationship. So 1,000%. It's for any relationship. And I think you agree with me, right, in saying that we're not the experts in fucking everybody's relationship. What we are people who have lived through it and just sharing. Here's what we are. We're people who went through those stages of marriage that most couples go through, which is you start off infatuated, the shine gets dull, then you start hating each other. No, but then, Care to walk that one back, miss? You know what we are? You know when you're on a really difficult hike up the mountain? We're the couple spry in our hiking clothes. We've been to the top, and we're the couple you meet coming back down the mountain who will say, listen, you're tired now, it levels out, okay? Yes. So in about 500 feet, enjoy the view, take a minute. Tips. When you get to the hard parts. Here's how you can get through the hard part without suffering so much, which brings us right back to the beginning. Right back to the beginning. And that's what we are. And then I'm the husband who then assumes that the couple that I just helped wants to be my friend. Yes. So I think they liked us. Maybe they'll come over for a barbecue. Kristen. I'll give them some beef. That's my That's your move. My move is to slip people some ground beef. What a weird move. Hey, I've got a beef guy. I can get you some really good ground beef. And they always look at me stone-faced. Because I don't think people understand how good my beef is. You can't beat my meat, as they say. So for those of you that don't know, Dave's dad is a farmer. He raises cows and certified Red Angus beef cattle, and he's got some of the best genetics for Red Angus beef. I did not even eat meat, and I will eat finch meat. The first time, of course, I flipped you. I hope everybody stayed all the way to the end of this episode. I absolutely flipped you. Now you can't get enough of that finch meat. But that's what I would do is that's us. Well, you will help people. I will insert myself into their lives if I like them and insist that they become best friends right away with skipping over the 10 years of organic relationship building. Oh, God. All right. I love you. Well, let's wrap this up, and I'll see you in a couple weeks on the first episode of Happy Now. Marriage, Autism, and the Journal of Best Practices, our upcoming podcast. Woohoo! So fun. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. If you love this podcast, you will love Call Me F Life. It's a self-paced, lifetime access DIY course that teaches you all the concepts that I talk about here, from nervous system regulation to manifesting with ease. And since we know that true change doesn't happen just because you know what to do, you also get an all-access pass to coaching calls and accountability so you don't stay stuck and you don't give up. The best investment you could ever make is in yourself. Call Me F Life is here for you now. Life's not waiting. Let's get you aligned with your Call Me F Self, gorgeous soul. I cannot wait to meet you. Go to KristenFinch.com and join me today.